Hi, everybody. I'm back. Uh, it's been an interesting few weeks for me. So, um, let's see. I don't want to repeat myself a million different times, but navigating some heart wounds, moving through grief, and getting to a state of acceptance. This week, actually, getting to a state of acceptance this week. And moving into a space of trying to just be grateful for everything that is in my life. But when I was moving into that acceptance of what is, I dug a little bit deeper into sort of um, the underlying wound there. And I realized that this grief cycle and this wound, this shadow that I'm uncovering was way deeper than I anticipated. It actually goes all the way back to my childhood. It goes back to my father, or lack thereof. I'm not going to get fully into that story, but what I did want to sort of speak through is what it looks like for me now. So, in order to get to a state of acceptance and forgiveness, it shifted from what I originally thought the situation was about, which was the release of a romantic interest and storyline, to a larger wound, which is trust of um, the masculine. That's the easiest way to put it. And that trust for me has been broken because of the lack of a relationship that I had with a male figure in my life. And so where I'm at is realizing that it's way larger than just this most recent reflection in my life, and that I really need to get to a space of forgiving, right? And it's hard for me. It's hard for me because there's just a lot of wounds there when I'm realizing that the lack of having a father in my life, and the fact that I currently, God, I hope I don't cry, the fact that I currently feel like I'm being rejected, like I'm not enough, um, it's still, it runs deep within me, and it affects and has affected so many relationships in my life because I'm so scared of being hurt and abandoned and rejected that I create. Well, I shouldn't say that. I'm just so scared, of this wound surfacing. And so what it moves into is, can I get to a space where I trust, where I forgive, where I work on healing this wound and realizing that there isn't anything wrong with me, and that I am worthy, um, and that I am enough. And so how that stems is I have to get to a space of forgiving my father, forgiving my father for the wounds that so it's really not about him, but it's about my relationship to the idea I have of him. And right now, that idea that I have is the storyline that he didn't want me, he doesn't want me, and I'm not enough. And that's the idea I've carried my entire life. I only just became conscious of it yesterday. Um, and so then it's like, in order to, I don't like the word heal has come up so much and I don't like that. Like, heal implies that there's something wrong. So in order to integrate that wound, I have to get to the space of forgiving my that idea, that letting go. I have to get to the space of letting go of that storyline, letting go of the idea that my father, the way that my father is reacting has anything to do with me, because it really doesn't. He doesn't know me. It's not personal, right? And I have to be able to authentically get to that space to let that storyline go and realize that the fact that I don't have a relationship with my father really doesn't have anything to do with me personally, and everything to do with things outside of my control, So what's helping me is, so we're going through this series called 30 Days of Love, which I've referenced a few times. And Amy Leo, I was posting about this yesterday because our intention was I am forgiveness. And she basically came back with a few prompts for me. So what I had said was, we were asked to think about what forgiveness looks like to us and what it feels like when we can get to a space of authentically forgiving people. And I said, and this is both of ourselves and of others, and I said, forgiveness provides freedom. But to be able to get to that space of authentically forgiving and letting go of any hurt or pain I feel takes work. I find that I can't press a magical forgiveness button and all of a sudden I'm just over it. I've moved on. But I know the power in being able to reach that moment and set the pain aside. So am I willing to do the work to get myself there? Yes, of course. Although sometimes I really do wish there was a magic button. And then Amy, Leo, again, and I'll link 30 Days of Love. She says, I think we can all relate to that magic button. But I've been playing around with this a lot in my personal life too. And here are some reflections. Next time I'm in a spacious state of mind or a good mood, perhaps try to peel the onion a bit in the direction of simplicity. Can you be in pain and still forgive? If that still feels impossible at this moment, can you and I keep learning how to acknowledge human imperfection in others, to see this as a default of the human condition, even while still in pain, even when we theel, it's a word she invented, think and feel, resentment, can we admit that all human beings can only operate from their own level of consciousness in any given moment? Then she says, there is a 1-to-1 ratio between level of consciousness and behavioral action in any moment. If we determine that to be realistic, then those that have hurt us, literally or physically, couldn't have acted differently. Then she says, if that's true, then their actions actually have nothing to do with us, simply because we can't control his or her level of consciousness. We can't get into their brain and their spirit and do some spiritual rewiring and handiwork. Then she says, no matter how badly we wish we could. Maybe forgiveness can be as simple as admitting, experiencing an embodied acknowledgement that he or she is only human, and so are we. Perhaps, and then I'm speaking this as her words, but I'm going to speak it as me. So perhaps I can be angry, hurt, resentful for as long as I want, and still recognize the impersonal human factor in all of this. Maybe I don't have to let go of any hurt or judgment. I don't need to believe that he or she did was okay in any way in order for the edges to soften internally regarding the situation or the person. So what that means to me basically is, if I'm applying it to this context, right, the context of my father, I can say that it's not, that he was acting at whatever level of consciousness he was at, with whatever story was going on in his mind. And I have no control over that. And also, I don't know what that story is. It could be anything. It could be the story I've been telling myself, right? Which is, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. Why am I not good enough? Or it could be something that's not personal, that actually has nothing to do with me because he doesn't know me. So how would he know whether or not I'm good enough or not? There's actually no personal contact or relationship there. And when I can move into that space and I can see it for what it is, which is, I don't know, and he has his own life, his own mindset, his own viewpoints, his own level of awareness. I don't know any of those things about him. I know nothing about him other than his name, you know? And so when I can move into that space and see, I don't know the full picture, I don't know the reasons for why he made the decisions he did, and why he currently doesn't want to get to know me. I don't know. And I can make it personal or I can make it not. But it feels a lot better when I don't make it personally and I just accept it for what it is, which is, my father isn't a part of my life for reasons that are outside of my control. And do I still long to someday get to know him? Yeah, of course, I probably always will. But if I can release the storyline that it's personal, that it has anything to do with me being innately not good enough, if I can let that go, then I can be free. I can be free. Then this forgiveness can happen, and I can close out this chapter, um, and open up to trusting not just the idea of my father, but really men in general, which you wouldn't think that one person would be reflective of the larger context, but in my level, in my world right now, it really is. This wound is so much deeper, and it affects really every single interaction that I have. It's just I wasn't aware of it until a few days ago, so I'm hoping to really get to the space where I can move into forgiveness and trust. So that's where I'm at. That's the update for today. I think there'll be more to come here, but I just wanted to share sort of where, as I move into a state of acceptance, right? So the first of this grief journey was anger, then sadness, then we've had the bargaining and the depression for the last 2 weeks, which I haven't recorded. And now I'm moving to a state of acceptance, but with that also comes forgiveness of myself and forgiveness of others, but more so my projection of others, to then clear out the space and let go of that story that doesn't serve me. So, all right, love you guys. Sending love and light out there. I love you. Take care of yourselves. Be well.